Jack steadied his grip on the flight controls, watching as the quantum storm surged beyond his cockpit, a chaotic swirl of light and distortion. His ship's reinforced shielding strained against the onslaught, adaptive field dampeners flickering under the pressure. No sane pilot came here, not unless desperation outweighed caution. He was closer to that edge than he'd ever admit. No sane pilot came here, not unless desperation outweighed caution. He was closer to that edge than he'd ever admit. The signal pulsed again. Steady, deliberate, not the erratic noise of natural interference. Something was down there. Something old. He adjusted his trajectory, stomach knotting as his ship slipped deeper into the maelstrom. The shields whined in protest. Jax ignored them. The Kronos emerged from the haze like a ghost. Its hull, once pristine, bore the scars of time and violence. A dead vessel. And yet, the pulse continued, emanating from its core like a heartbeat. Docking was reckless, but Jax had made risk his trade. Years of threading unstable wrecks and skirting war-zone debris had honed his instincts, and now they guided him through the maelstrom. Hesitation didn't pay debts. His boots clanked against the silent corridors as he stepped inside, the air stale, tinged with metal and something faintly rotten. Emergency lights flickered, casting jagged shadows. The ship felt wrong, like something watching. A terminal hummed to life at his approach, its cracked screen glowing dull amber. Then static. A figure resolved, hazy at first, then sharp. A woman in an old-style uniform, her face worn but resolute. "This is Captain Eva Rostova," the message began, her voice low and measured. "If you're seeing this, then the Kronos still drifts, and the sector still suffers." Jax's fingers tightened around the console. "We were experimenting with quantum energy, an effort to harness instability, to control the chaos." A bitter smile flickered across her face. "We failed. The experiment destabilized the quantum field, creating cascading rifts that tore through space itself, leaving behind a sector locked in unpredictable distortions. The sector has never healed. The fluctuations, we caused them." Jax exhaled sharply. He had always thought the storm was ancient, a relic of war or nature's own cruelty. But this was human folly. "The pulse you followed is our last failsafe," Rostova continued. "A final collapse. Controlled, precise. It will seal the fractures, stop the distortions, but it will erase the Kronos. And us." She exhaled, a flicker of exhaustion crossing her face. "We tried everything else. We sent distress calls no one could answer. We searched for a way to undo the damage. In the end, there was only this. A choice no one wanted to make, but one we couldn't escape." She paused, as if looking through the screen at whoever might be listening. "If you're here, then the sector still suffers. Let this be the end of it." Silence hung between them. Jax reached for his belt, fingers brushing the interface tool he had brought to strip the ship's systems. But now, the weight of it felt obscene. He hesitated, running calculations in his head. How much he could get for the Kronos' core, how many cycles he could buy himself before he was scraping by again. But beneath the cold arithmetic, something gnawed at him. A ship wasn't just metal and circuits. It carried the ghosts of those who walked its halls, breathed its air, made choices they had to live or die with. And this ship carried the weight of a decision made long before he arrived. Rostova's gaze, even through the recording, felt like it pinned him in place. "If you are here for salvage, I cannot stop you. But understand, our failure cursed this place. Our end must be its cure." The message cut out. The ship groaned, as if speaking in the captain's absence. Jax stared at the terminal, mind churning. The tech here, pre-collapse hardware, priceless in the right hands. But no one had claimed it. Every scavenger who tried was lost to the storm, their ship swallowed by the same distortions that kept the Kronos adrift. He could rip the core, sell the data. The failsafe would never trigger. The storm would rage on, or he could leave it. Let the ship complete its long-delayed task. He clenched his jaw, tasting the dry, stagnant air. He had come for profit. He found an epitaph. Jax turned, boots echoing through the corridors. The flight back to his ship was slow, deliberate, no rush, no need. Minutes later, the docking clamps released. He pulled away, watching as the chronos dwindled into the storm, its pulse steady, waiting. He would tell no one, no buyers, no syndicates. Let it rest. Let it be forgotten. The storm swallowed the ship whole. Jack set a course for open space, leaving behind the echoes of those who had given everything to fix what could never be undone.